Leeds United have had a pretty damn big day today, with Daniel Farke having his press conference ahead of the Arsenal match and multiple bits of news coming out of it. So, whilst I have titled this stream around what Daniel Farke is effectively demanding and asking for from the rest of the transfer window, there's a couple of other stories that I'm going to get to first, including the Ethan Ampadu stuff, because that is very, very important. But before all of that, I'd just massively appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. It's one button down here, it's free to click, and whilst it's free for you, it's massively beneficial for me and any other content creator. So that'd be absolutely wonderful. And also pop a like on the video. Equally wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Anyway, going to start with the chat about Ethan Ampadu, because I think that's very, very important. Because if you look at the system that we played in against Everton, also, if I sound like I'm sort of losing track of what I'm saying right now, it's because I have recorded this video once already, but my microphone was set to the wrong device. So none of it actually recorded, and there's bits of this that I might forget that I have recorded now or haven't recorded before, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, where was I? Ethan Ampadu. System we played against Everton was a 4-1-4-1, with Ampadu being that midfield one, sort of the sole holding player. And when we were in possession, you'd have your fullbacks bomb on, centre backs would split, and Ampadu drops in. That was a very effective system, and Ampadu had a massive impact. Everyone was looking towards the new signings like a Gudmundsson and a Stack and Metcher when he came on, and Lucas Perry. However, it was the existing players that did a hell of a lot of the work. Tanaka looked really good, as did Ampadu. For example, one of the big highlights of the match was when he just flies into Dewsbury Hall, leaving him in a crumpled heap on the floor, which I thought was very, very funny at the time. I thought it was significantly less funny when Ethan Ampadu then proceeded to get flattened himself in retaliation for it and was left with some fairly nasty MCL damage. Now, I say fairly nasty, I mean, on the grand scale of MCL damage, that's not too bad. Like, you can have real bad MCL damage, or you can have like small scale stuff. Small scale stuff is the kind of thing that I've tended to pick up after the big charity walks, and is something that a couple of weeks later you're able to play through. And that's where Ampadu is at the moment, likely to be available after the international break, which is fine enough, but this does affect the way that a lot of people have seen the transfer window, because it means that when everyone's looking at the current squad list and seeing, well, currently we've got 24 players registered, assuming that all of the players that are going to leave aren't registered. Therefore, any real signings beyond one more, we'd need people to go out. So in that instance, what the hell do we do? And a lot of people are looking at Ilya Gruev as one of the players that could potentially depart. In reality, that's not seeming like it's going to be something that is at all feasible, because he is the alternative number 6. It goes Ampadu and then Gruev, and in theory, Stack can play there and Tanaka can play there. But of all of the players in that midfield, Gruev is the best at being a dedicated defensive midfielder. Selling him and then going into a big, 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 big question mark of an international break and will Ethan Ampadu come through it reasonably healthy would be a bad move, without a doubt for me. So for me, Gruev stays as a result of that. But beyond that, still talking transfers, we need to talk about what Daniel Farke specifically said about remaining incoming transfers for the rest of the window. First of all, we know that we need that backup fullback. That was discussed by everybody and Daniel Farke specifically, but that's not the topic of this particular video because I did that yesterday afternoon. He did, however, say more about what he's after in the attacking areas. So I'm going to read that word for word so I'm not misquoting him, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat about that. So, we've also spoken before the 2 signings that we would strengthen our offence. Let's see, if we do add even more to the offence, 1 or 2 more signings would be beneficial. Keeping in mind this was after confirming that we'd signed Okafor, that's a strong, strong defence that he wants to get. Right now, with the signings of Dominic, being Calvert-Lewin, and Noah, Okafor, the big pressure is away and we can concentrate right now on working with the boys, but I wouldn't rule out 1 or 2 more signings on the offence. And then, quoted by Baron Cross, he said, there's always room for more quality wingers who can, and this is working through specific profiles of winger, who can work hard and are good against the ball. So in that instance, players that press quite a lot and make sure that Leeds have as much possession as possible. Wingers who are quick and good 1-versus-1, again, very important to have because it means that you're able to take on a fullback, whip the ball into the box onto your 6'9" giants. And finally, wingers who can play like a 10. This, being the 10 option, would be a good solution for us. That was a very, very interesting section, in my personal opinion, because if you're having a look at it, the fact that we're looking for a winger who can be a 10, especially if you consider some of the names that have floated around, such as Buonanotte, a winger that can play as a 10 would be an absolutely key part because it says that we're going to be playing 4-3-3 or 4-1-4-1 for the bulk of the season. But in some matches, if it comes to it, we want that versatility to turn into a 4-2-3-1, get a number 10 in there and cause trouble through that direction. I really, really like that. That's a pretty damn good idea. And it says that we're not in the position where we're feeling sort of complacent. We've got a lot of good players in at the minute, a hell of a lot of good players in at the minute. And I would look at our wing areas and I would say that in terms of attack, we've got depth, a significant amount of depth. But Daniel Farke is specifically saying there's room for more quality, shows that the ambition that we have right now is not just, well, we want to look brave whilst we get relegated. No, we want to genuinely scrap to survive and fight and make sure that we are not back in the Championship next season. And I respect that completely. In terms of the moves that we potentially get done, I don't know. I've heard quite a lot about Facundo Buonanotte in the last few days. Whether or not that happens, we'll find out. And if it does, I'll be doing streams and videos and stuff surrounding it. But this says to me that we have the budget, we have the leadership, and we have the ambition to put the club in the place where we really want it to be right now. I think this also potentially lends credence to the idea that we might be taking a look at Demirovic, but at the same time, it's all mention of wingers. It's all mention of wide players that can cause issues in those areas. So in my opinion, I think we do 2 more deals before the end of the window. We'll do one at some point before the Sheffield Wednesday match, in my opinion. That'll be your backup fullback because we need that sorting relatively sharpish. But the other is one of those that could be a Rafinha-style signing, where we just wait and we wait and we wait and we wait. We see what the best possible option is at the end of the window, and then we pounce. And we end up with a very, very, very nice talent without having to pay out of the nose for them. And that is a position that I quite like us being in. One of financial strength while still improving our squad and making sure that we're not bankrupting ourselves at the same time. But, as always, that's just what I thought from Daniel Farke's press conference, and you're likely to think differently. If you do, let me know in the comments down below, and whilst you're down there, subscribe to the channel and like the video, and you can even be a channel member if you fancy. That'd be lovely as well. Hope you all enjoyed though, and I will see you all later. Toodaloo, amigas.